The lawyer's voice was smooth, rehearsed. Your daughter signed an NDA. She'll stay quiet. That's how this ends. I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I only listened, because silence unsettles men who feed on power. When the call ended, I sat in the dark, staring at nothing. 30 years of service had trained me to recognize two things: patterns of violence and the smell of cowardice wrapped in legality. That night, I didn't sleep. By dawn, his $80 million penthouse had one less functioning security team. They were breathing, but hospitals could deal with that. When he woke, he wasn't in silk sheets. He was chained to his own bed, wrists cut by steel cuffs. The man who thought money made him untouchable was suddenly small, stripped of all theater. I leaned close, voice low enough to crawl under his skin. Lesson 1, I whispered. Fear doesn't start when you see the cage. It starts when you realize you built it yourself. I didn't strike him, not yet. Violence is noise. Noise is weakness. I studied his face, the confusion mixing with arrogance, the way spoiled men cling to entitlement like armor. He thought this was extortion, some military thug cashing in. He didn't understand it was personal. When I looked at him, I saw my daughter in the parking garage, keys clenched in her hand, his shadow behind her, his voice dripping with power, knowing she needed the job, knowing she couldn't scream without losing everything. Her silence at dinner the night it happened told me more than her words ever could. She smiled too tightly, laughed too quickly. I asked nothing, because fathers who pry too soon get lies in return. But when the lawyer called, the pieces locked into place. She hadn't just been fired, she had been broken. And her silence was not choice, it was purchase. I began the way I always do, quietly. Phone records, travel logs, security rotations. His habits unfolded like a dossier I'd read 100 times before. Same arrogance, different name. He used burner numbers, thinking he was clever. I traced every one. He paid for silence in cash and NDAs. His board knew, his lawyers knew, his wife knew. Predators hide in plain sight because they know people would rather look away than look too closely. My daughter avoided me in those days. She knew the rage in my veins, the kind that made wars bleed. She wanted me to stay ignorant, but ignorance is death. So I smiled when she smiled, pretended to laugh at hollow jokes. Inside, I counted his sins like ammunition. Every receipt, every call, every contract. By the time I was done, his empire was mapped, and I knew exactly where to cut the foundation. He begged first. That was expected. They all beg when the money can't open locks. But I wasn't after money. I was after truth. I slid the folder across his chest. Photographs, statements, bank transfers. Names of women buried under silence. The weight of every NDA he'd signed. His face drained. Arrogance collapsed into panic. He realized I hadn't just come for him. I dug up the bones he thought were buried forever. He stammered excuses, said they wanted it, said they agreed. The words of men who've never had to pay for their appetites. I said nothing. I only let him read every page, until his breath hitched, until his eyes begged me for mercy I did not carry. When his tears came, I finally spoke. You built a kingdom on silence, I said. But silence cracks under truth. I pressed a flash drive into his palm. Every crime documented, every witness protected, every trail ready to burn his empire down. I already sent copies, I told him. Your board has them, your wife, the press. By the time the sun sets, the man you were will be unrecognizable. He screamed, tugging against the chains, pleaded, promised, offered me everything. I leaned close, so he could feel the cold edge of my calm. This isn't about money. This is about my daughter, and you will remember her name every day for the rest of your ruined life. I left him chained in his own penthouse, drowning in panic. I didn't need to kill him. The truth would. By the time I reached the street, sirens already cut through the city. The empire he built on fear was already ash. I didn't call my daughter. She didn't need to know what I had done. She only needed to see the world shift. Her abuser reduced to nothing. Her silence no longer currency. I walked into the night without regret. No pity, no hesitation. 30 years in war taught me one thing. Revenge isn't fury. It's clarity. And clarity is the sharpest blade a man can wield.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.